Hello and welcome to Morten's Corner. In today's video we'll talk about the AI chat assistants. And in the scope of today we'll discuss what are AI chat personas, which licenses carry AI capabilities, then we'll discuss how you can configure the AI personas, how you define the sources for each of the personas, and how you define the AI persona's personality. And then we'll discuss how you define each roles for the AI persona use. And then we'll talk about how you can improve the AI search results when you discuss with the AI chat. And then we'll talk a little bit about best practice and the way to use and so forth. So the AI chat personas are personas which you can configure in the user experience panel or the user adoption center if you're using IFS. Each persona can be set for specific roles, for example, where you have specific sources of work instructions or PDFs or web pages or YouTube links or Microsoft Stream videos or whatever you want that they're allowed to answer, right? And each persona can have its own personality. It can answer in a certain way, it can talk in specific, use specific terms and stuff like that. So yeah. The licenses that currently carry AI capabilities for this purpose are our professional license and the enterprise license. The difference between the professional and the enterprise license is that the professional license can answer questions about your source recordings and stuff like that, but the enterprise can then also add what we call dynamic assets, which are the before mentioned PDFs and videos and so forth, right? So it's a little bit more capable in that sense. So discussing on how to configure them, for that we will need ClickLearn. So coming into ClickLearn, what you'll want to do is that you'll come down here to your UXP or UAC settings. And here you can go to your tab configuration. And in your tab configuration under chat, you can choose, of course you can configure the default AI assist, that's fine. But you can also configure custom AI chat assistants. For the purpose of the video today, I've made a few here. I've made a sales AI assistant. Let's have a look at how that's configured. So click on edit. And here you can see that the name is sales assistant, so you know which you're picking. Description is help you land that sale. I think that's fairly accurate for sales. And the segment is only applied to sales, right? Here I can choose which segments it's supposed to apply to. And in the role mapping, I can choose which system roles should map to those segments, right? So in my case, I've made a group called UXP_sales. And if people are a member of that group, they will be a part of the sales segment, right? You could also use your own business roles. So if you have, let's say you have sales manager or business analyst, or I don't know, whatever roles you have in your system that is UXP or UXC supported, you could just map them directly to here. I've just chosen to add my own because I'm using CRM, which makes that easy, right? When you system admin, you can just add some security roles and add people to it. You can see more about that in the UXP video, which will be available up there in the corner. So that's the segments. What you can then do is you can go to custom instructions, and here you can choose which type of persona you want. In our case, we've chosen this sales persona. It's a typical salesperson type of talk. So it's gonna be a familiar feel to someone who's selling, right? They're gonna feel comfortable talking to this AI. In instruction, you can add some predefined questions if you want. It's quite nice to get newcomers started with the chat. I've just composed 3, like how to adjust a credit limit, how to create an account, how to add a phone number to an account. So these are like a clickable queries. You can just click and then we'll then send that question to the AI chat. In the setting, you can choose how long the history is going to be and how long responses you want. I've just maxed these out because I'd like to have a lengthy, beefy chat that I can kind of scroll up and see, hey, what did I ask about last time? And yeah, that's how I prefer to have my chats. Now, in the source content, you can see here that I've added some content sources. I've got some folders here, and I have some recording sources, right? I have a folder called sales documents, which I've mapped to the sales segment. So that this AI chat called sales assistant is permitted to use that as its source, right? That's how it's done. And then you can also define your own disclaimer. So if you want like a disclaimer when people they read it, this first thing they see is like you agree that blah blah blah, whatever. If you have some kind of legal thing, or if you just want to make people aware of whatever when they engage with this assistant, because it might use a dynamic source that you might not control that well. Let's say you're using a YouTube search algorithm as part of your source. You might not be responsible for the results that come out of that algorithm, right? You could put stuff like that in here if you wanted to.
Oh, wow. Wow. Wow.
I am going to go ahead and cancel that. So we made a few, right? We made a manager one, we made an employee one, marketing one, HR, and the sales you've seen. So let's go ahead and make a new sales assistant. All right. So I'm going to click add new sales assistant. We'll call it finance AI assistant. We'll make it green, right? Because finance. Segments, we kind of need a segment for that. So let me just go ahead and create that segment before we go any further. Let's just close it. Gonna have to add a source first. So we'll do that and we'll go to create that segment. So I'll come in my structure. And I'll go ahead and go to our segments over here, go to advanced, and then I'll add finance. All right. Save that. Cool. So now we have a finance segment. Let me just add some assets. We don't have anything currently, so let me just add that. We'll make a new folder. We'll call it finance documents. So it's consistent with the rest here. So let's find some finance documents. All right. Upload file. See what we got. Payroll numbers. Sounds very financy. And ERP operating budget. That's another one. All right. Let's add this stuff. Put it in here. Okay. So now we have two documents within this folder. So we need to make those available to the chat, right? So firstly, we need to come over here to the user experience panel, additional AI sources, and let's go ahead and add the documents we had before. So folder, it's going to be in here, finance documents, and we can add that to the finance segment, right? That's what we wanted. So here, okay. All right. One more thing. Now we need to add the segments to the role. Okay, so we go to edit source here, and he will say, we'll click on the plus sign, and we'll say UXP_finance, and we'll map that to the finance segment. There we go. Okay, so far so good. I am going to go ahead and save my changes. And let's go back to the chat. So tab configuration, chat, and custom AIs. And let's go and configure this finance one. So to keep them a bit like the other ones, let me move this window. We'll add some description and stuff like that, okay? Let's make them feel privileged by typing financial information for your eyes only. Let's add some custom instruction here. So we can choose any persona we want: marketing, HR, or sales. Okay. We can also define our own. I'm going to do that by clicking on this here, unlock, and we're going to change the prompt. So when you talk to, when you tell an AI how to act, you call it a prompt, right? So you're writing a prompt for an AI. That's what we're doing now. So I'll just take all this out and say you are a financial officer and talk in economic terms. Okay, I'm gonna try this prompt. It may or may not be as I want, and then I can come back and adjust it and you know, try to make it better, right? I'm gonna say more creative. I love the creative one. I think it's more fun. So here's an introduction, okay? And let's go ahead and have an introduction, and we can say, so I'll keep it light. Ask me any financial advice. I can tell any fortunes, okay? Let's make some pre-composed questions. What are the salary numbers? Okay. We'll add one more. We'll say, what is the ERP operating budget? Okay. Let's just have 2. It's fine. Coming into settings, I'm gonna up my history here, because you know that's how I prefer it personally. You can play around with it and see what you find helpful, or what you like. Sort content. Now we can go and map our finance documents we made. They're down here. There we go. And a disclaimer. We can say, by using this AI chat, you agree to understand that we cannot be held liable for the output and how you choose to use it. All right, that's very legally binding. Save and close.
Hello.
There we go. So now we have a finance AI chat. Let's go ahead and produce this. Save changes. And we'll go ahead and publish it. Click on reproduce. And we'll just let it rip. Right, it's complete. So let's go ahead and look at how it actually works for the end user. Coming into CRM, you will now see that I have a UXP button up here. What I can then do is that I can click on our chat, and I can then choose, depending on the roles I have, which assistant I want to talk to. Like I said before, in CRM, you can easily define security roles and add users to those roles, or you can go by, of course, by the regular user roles that are defined in CRM or in your ERP system. The reason I've chosen specific custom roles is because then I can easily manage what we see, right? I've chosen everything. So what I can do is that I could come into, let's say, the sales assistant. And here you then see some of our predefined questions that we've set, right? So I could say, how do I adjust a credit limit? Let's click on that. And then the AI will think about the answer. And from the sources we've defined, it will then give us an answer. And we can see here that it briefly summarizes the process, which is super awesome. And then it links me directly to the source, right? In this case, I can tell that this is a work instructions I've made. So I've clicked on this. It'll take me to the actual work instructions for adjusting a credit limit, all right? Let's go back to the chat again. I can, of course, also type my own question if I want, which is fair. Let's try something cool. let's go to the manager AI. All right, and here I have one called as a manager, how do I prepare for the annual employee development interview, right? So normally you have like a yearly interview of sorts with your employees. I'm gonna ask that to the AI because I'm a new manager, I'm not sure what to do, or I forget because, you know, it's just once a year, whatever. It now summarizes the full process of like how I am supposed to acknowledge my employees' accomplishment over the year and look at their skills and development, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff, right? And of course, this source is also cited. This time you can see that the source is different. The icon is different. This is because the source is a PDF and it's saying it is on page 1 of that document, right? You'll sometimes find that it quotes multiple places in the same document, or it quotes multiple sources and it will then tell you where they are and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and click this guy here. So here we can see the PDF. It's just one page and it's basically, it's basically what's written here, just with a few more words. You can tell that the AI has analyzed this and rewritten it for us, right? It's not word for word, it's different, okay? So if I go as an employee, let's go as an employee, and I'm gonna ask the same question. I'm gonna say, how do I prepare for the annual employee development interview? Let's try that. Now I'm in the employee assistant. The result I get is gonna be different. All right, let's have a look. So review your job description expectations. Take a moment to compare your current responsibilities with your initial job descriptions and so forth, right? You know, this kind of goes, am I entitled for a raise? Do I do more than I was supposed to do according to whatever I was hired for? So you can really see that asking the same question prompts a different answer depending on which assistant you choose. What I've also done is that I've given them different colors so they stand out from each other. I'm making it a little more easy, right? Let's try the new finance one. That could be fun. Let me click on this. Let's see, what are the salary numbers? Well, I just added this as you saw before, so actually I have no idea if this is indexed properly or not. So let's see. There we go. Now it tells me the salary numbers. Manager, 45,000 Danish a month. Sales rep, 35 per month, and so forth. And then we have a PDF here, and it has the numbers with some other stuff. I wonder if it can figure out this healthcare. Does manager have healthcare? Let's see. Yes, a manager does receive healthcare benefits. Source, payroll numbers. Cool. What about, let's see, what did I call them? A contract worker. All right. So let's ask the AI about that. How about a contract worker? A contract worker does not receive healthcare benefits. Source, payroll numbers. That's pretty cool, actually. It summarizes and understands. This is just an Excel sheet. I printed as a PDF and threw in here, right? And it gets it. It knows exactly what these columns mean. I think that's really awesome. Let's see if we can figure out the yearly rise. How much yearly rise can I give a sales rep? You can provide a maximum yearly rise of 5% to a sales representative. Yep, checks out. 5% sales rep. Wow, there it got pretty good, huh? Everyone else gets shafted. Guess that's how it is. We can also have a look at some of the more advanced documents, okay? So let's say the HR assistant. Let's see here. How long is my maternity leave here in Denmark? Let's ask that. He's then going to summarize and tell me that we're entitled for 14 weeks of maternity leave after giving birth. And then it explains a little bit about how it's divided between the parents. And you can tell that it's from page 3 of this very long document from Life in Denmark. The thing is like 50 pages long or something like that. Yeah, 36 pages. All right, let's switch back to the employee here. And let's ask it another question. How do I use the AI avatars and click learn? And it says, to use the AI avatars, please follow these steps. It's then summarized up like how you understanding AI avatars, how they work, how you configure and set them up, how you utilize them, and then some testing and feedback options, right? So it's referencing 2 different videos. So here is one of my videos, Morten's Corner, ClickLearn and the AI avatars. Let's go ahead and click on that. There we go. So then it can just play my YouTube video, which is super awesome. Directly here from the player, right? So yeah, the AI chat is extremely powerful. You can query work instructions, you can query specific PDFs, you can even ask it about if you've done a specific YouTube search or a specific YouTube channel or whatever. Those can also be indexed in results. And you can of course use multiple YouTube searches, right? So you can have something for around HR processes. You can have something for the employees. Maybe you have a generic YouTube channel in your own organization that should be available to everyone. So let's say everyone has the employee chat, right? So you can add that to their sources, right? And then you can have, like, for example, the marketing. So maybe you have a public marketing channel that people are subscribing to or whatever. That could be here, right? Or you could have, yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit, right? Just you probably have a better idea of what could be relevant for you than I do, but this is just what I've found, right? What you can also do is that you can use something called a JSON end result, which gives you full control over your content. There will be a separate video on this, but let me just briefly show you how, for example, a search could look. So now I'm going to ask it, what can I find on clicklearn.com? So for my query, what can I find on clicklearn.com? It will now read and summarize the clicklearn.com website. It says on clicklearn.com, we can find the following key resources: license information, documentation, how-to videos, support resources, product updates, and so forth. And it says sources used, ClickLearn's main page. So the way I've made this is with a tool called an end result JSON. So let me just show you how that works real quick. There will be a separate video, like I said, but just, you know, a brief one is in here. So I have here, you can say new, you say new and JSON. You can then use the Excel export tool. You'll download that template. This will then create a specific JSON parse for you. Just show you quickly how that looks. So here is my subject. I then have the source link, or the URL or whatever. Then you have videos and so forth, right? Here is the description. This greatly affects how I search, right? So I can, instead of linking to a YouTube search results in the general YouTube dynamic asset, I could use this to find very specific videos. And I can do as big a parse as I want, right? As long as the keys are unique. So I just have to increment the keys every time, 3, 4, and so forth, right? Search results are quite important because this is what determines what will be found when I search, yeah? Then there are some metadata tags here. There are some user contexts, some app contexts. So I can choose when these results should be suggested, for example, or when they should be displayed. If I use them in the suggested groups in my tab configuration over here, right? So that's also something you can do. And what you then do when you're done, you copy the data here. And then you just paste it in, right? So we'll make a specific, I'm gonna save this. It's gonna make a JSON parse, which looks a little bit like this. Here's JSON source. So basically this is it. You will paste it in here and you will then give it a name and save it, yeah? So if I made a new one, it will allow me to give it a name and save, yeah? So that's basically how it parses it. It's very smart. It also goes into the chat as well. And that can be, for example, the clicklearn.com result that you saw. And it could be specific videos. You can even use Microsoft Stream videos and stuff like that. And of course, all this is also available in our chat, as you see over here. So very powerful tool, a big ability to cater for your audience, for sure, using the chat. I think it's super awesome. So what I've also done here is that I've imported an JSON video for the AI to present itself. But just to show you what it does and how I did it, we go to the sales assistant. I'm gonna ask it, who are you? And it will then tell me that it is my dedicated sales professional, ready to connect and listen and provide tailored solutions to meet your unique needs. And then it's talking a bit about how it's a super good sales assistant, really. And you can see that the sources used is a video. So let's click on that. This video comes from YouTube. You can clearly see that down here, right? So let's go ahead and play it.
I am your AI sales assistant. Ask me anything related to landing that contract. You can ask me things such as, how do I create an account? How do I adjust a credit limit? How do I add a phone number to an account? I will help you land that sale.
I chose the color here, which is gray, and I made a gray background, and then I defined this with our partner Colossian. You can learn more about that up here. So that's the way I made it. How it's done is when I come in here to Excel, you can see that I have made an end JSON for a sales assistant. It references a YouTube link, it's a video, and description. How are you? That's basically how I would trigger it, right? So the way I get the YouTube video is that I'll come into YouTube. I've published it at an unlisted video, okay? When I then go to the video here, this is not the link you need. The link you need will come if you right click and say copy embed code. Let's go ahead and copy it. And let's open up Notepad. So here you have the embed code. And what I would then grab is of course just this, right? HTTP and then the last part. And then I can then dump it into my Excel file. I've done one more, which is in here. I've done one for finance. So let's ask finance AI, who are you? I could also include this who are you inside of the questions down here, the predefined questions, of course. I could just put that in. So this time she says, I am a finance AI assistant focused on providing insights and information related to finance and economic matters. And so on, right? So she's acting differently, she's talking a little bit different because I've used a different prompt to define this AI, okay? So let's see what she has to say. This time you can see that this video comes from Microsoft Stream. So this is a video I've added to SharePoint and then shared through Microsoft Stream.
I am your AI finance assistant. Ask me any financial advice, I can tell any fortunes. You can ask me things such as, what are the salary numbers? What is the ERP operating budget? Financial information for your eyes only. All
right, so the way I've done this one is I've come in here to SharePoint. I basically just uploaded an MP4 file, that's it. Let's go ahead and click on that finance one. So in here I'll go to share, and then I'll click on embed code, it's called. Sorry, this is in Danish, so embed code, I'll click on that. Then you get a huge code here, right? Kind of like you have on YouTube. I'll just select it all, copy it, and let's put it into Notepad. So this is similar to YouTube. What you need is to start from HTTPS and then until you see the video end. So here is the MP4, right? I would need this part. So this is the part I copied. And this one, you see it's pasted in here. Create the finance AI exactly the same way, right? And of course, remember that when you want to share this with someone, the content itself needs to be shared with them, right? So you need to say share, and then it needs to be shared with the people in your organization so that they can authenticate and view the content, because otherwise you're asking them to view a resource that they cannot see, right? So it needs to be available to them, of course. I've also added them to the portal just for fun. You don't need to do that, but I've added them down here. AI assistants, click on it, and it will then show you the two different videos, right? So if I click on it, she's then gonna pop out in an embedded frame, and the same with the other one. So that's how that works. In ClickLearn itself, what I've done here is I've gone to assets, and then I've basically just clicked on new, and I've selected a new end JSON, right? And this is how it looks like. So let's go ahead and look at the finance one. You could basically see it's finance AI assistant, description, who are you, and then you have the link, right? So this is just what I used when I copied from here. I just click on copy data, and then it generated all this, okay? The way I've made it appear in the chat is if you come into the UXP configuration, tab configuration, and we'll cut over to chat, and then we'll come to custom AI assistants, and let's go ahead and modify the sales one. So we click on edit, and then we'll go to source content, and we can now see that the sales JSON is now available in here, right? And you know that the sales chat itself is only available to people with the sales role, right? You can see it down here. You see segment sales, right? That's the segment we created, which is mapped up against the role in CRM that I refer to as sales, right? It's called UXP_sales. That's what I call it in CRM. So whoever has that security role will be able to see the sales assistant and therefore access the video I just showed you. Similarly for finance, it's down here. Click on three dots, click on edit.
Hey there, don't forget that the UXP segment mapping is case sensitive. For example, UXP_sales with its proper formatting will not trigger if the role in the ERP system is lowercase like UXP_sales.
And then it's ready for finance and source content. You can see that the finance AI JSON is here, right? They will pop up in here automatically. You can also see the sales one, of course, it's just not flagged. So that's kind of how that works. In terms of its use, you can do all kinds of cool things with this. Since it's Microsoft Stream meetings, let's say you have your quarterly meetings or your bi-weekly meetings or whatever on Teams, and you want to share those recordings internally somehow. So if I come in here to the chat, I could ask it, well, what was the summary of the last quarterly meeting and stuff like that, and will then answer and refer me to the video, right? And you could have departmental AI chats, right? So depending on which department you're from, if you had let's say you had a meeting in that department and you want that to be part of your AI summary here, you could add it like this, and it will then only be available to those who partook in that meeting, right? And similarly, if you have one for everyone in the whole organization, which you may have a few times a year, you could also make that available. You could even publish it to a group out here, right? So you can do stuff like that. I mean, the sky's the limit here. You can really do pretty much whatever you want. I'm sure that you have a better idea about how you could maybe use this in your organization than I do. So I just invented this because that's kind of my that would be my take on it from my own perspective, right? But I'm sure you have some crazy ideas yourself. So yeah, awesome feature, enjoy. I can also here ask what the operating salary budget is, and it will then show me all the numbers, right? The revenue numbers and all this kind of stuff. And that's because I'm in the finance chat. So if I ask, let's say I ask this question, what is the ERP operating budget? Copy that. Let's try to ask it in the HR chat, okay? So now go in the HR chat and ask it the same question. Let's see what she says. And it says, I don't know. When you define the chat, you can also tell it what it's supposed to say if it doesn't know. That's also part of the prompts. Remember, we designed the custom prompt. You can tell it to say something else. You can tell it to say, I'm not at liberty to disclose that information. Please try another assistant. You could say that. That's a very good answer to our scenario. But we have so many different AI chats we can choose from, right? So that's also a thing. So, coming a little bit back to the best practices. I mean, you are free to use this as you see fit. I would recommend you talk to people within your organization. Maybe if you have a UAT group, talk to the different business units and see how you can best support them using the AI chat features. and what sort of content they might be looking for within their chat. Because it's not just work instructions anymore. It's both work instructions, it's web pages, it's documents, it's now going to be videos. It's going to be, maybe you had a business review meeting of some sort, and you want to reference that. Maybe you have one every quarter. Maybe that should be part of one of the chats. You could dump the Microsoft Stream in there, right? So you could index that. Of course, the user would need to have access to the stream itself to be able to see the content. But yeah, it's a very advanced and capable tool that can deliver some really awesome results. But the way to use it right, I think that's pretty much up to you to define. We've just given you quite an incredible toolbox, if I must say so myself. And yeah, just go to town on it. I think it's amazing. You can always start with like a smaller scope. So maybe you have a few different chats with a few documents each, apart from all your recording sources, of course, or the relevant recording source for the specific persona you have defined. And you can do some testing with that and see how it works out. And you can always expand and build up on top of it, right? But you definitely have the extreme capability of indexing pretty much everything within your organization right there in the user adoption center or in the user experience panel, right? I think it's an incredible tool and an amazing opportunity and a really great addition to ClickLearn. Thank you. So with that being said, thank you for watching this Morten's Corner video on the ClickLearn and the AI chat assistants. I really hope you found it helpful, and I hope you find it entertaining to watch as much as I had writing it, making it. So with that being said, I wish you all a wonderful day. Thank you. Oh, and if you have any questions, leave them on the community.